We'll meet you at Geek Check. It's best to split up.
Uh-huh, I see. That way Fury's forces will be too divided chasing all of us.
Well, not exactly. Hopefully, she'll only chase after you.
Great plan. Alright, let's find the stuff Smith and Weston need.
I would like to point out that in the World of Waffles levels, it was Weston who was concerned about DJ and Pandora, so I'm not sure why he would come up with a plan to send Fury's minions after them explicitly and only them. Anyway, this level has a great atmosphere. Not a lot of writing in it, but maybe that's why the writing is better also. The first new enemy type we'll encounter is this security guard. He fires flaming bullets, and these have the capacity to catch us on fire, and they hurt a lot. We want to stay really far away because they fire them in short bursts, and they're more likely to hit at a close distance. It's for this reason we don't use this shotgun against them. I definitely could have been a lot more conservative with my twin pistol ammunition, but there is an ammo crate right here, so I suppose it wasn't really necessary. I really love this opening parking garage area. You know, it looks like a parking garage. All the cars are tipped over or smashed into weird positions, and there are holes in the walls and floors. It looks like monsters have been rampaging through here, and you can still even see banners and flyers from, you know, this is a supermarket. It's really good. It's cartoonish, but it looks like a parking garage that was ravaged by monsters really suddenly, which is what it's supposed to look like. That specific hallway reminds me of Galaga. Granted, it's a Galaga where you can jump, but still. That reminds me, people said the Dead to Rights game on PSP is as simple as Galaga, and I have to find out if that's true sometime. Not right now. Right now we're playing Death Jr. So here is the return of the rat enemies. Very, very briefly. They act pretty much the same as they did before, except this time they don't have weird techno gadgets on them. And they're just as easily destroyed with our, what's it called, with our nimble monkey bone. There we go. They do take more hits, though. I love this music. The combination of elevator music and strange chanting, I think, really works well with this location. I greatly admire it. It's appropriately atmospheric.
Where is everybody?
Well, DJ, I have two theories on that. The first theory, and the one I personally think is most likely, is that they all ran away or were captured when Fury's monsters attacked. The second theory is that this is a parking garage, and as such, no one has any reason to be down here. Did you know that ambulance was destructible? I didn't even know it was destructible until until this most recent playthrough when I was recording the game, so that's kinda cool. We're coming back to get this ammo crate. So you may wonder why we're fighting security guard monsters. That seems rather human for some of Fury's monsters, right? Well, we'll figure out what's up with that later. There is an in-universe explanation for it. But in order to actually get out of the parking garage and into the rest of the mall, we need to do some kind of tricky platforming. It's still not the big payoff you might be looking for, considering how long we've been doing pretty basic platforming. And the last exploration of platforming we really saw was back in the secret laboratories, but this is a step up from that at least. Trust me when I say the platforming system does ramp up to near its full potential at the end of the game. It just takes a while to get there. The level and game design in this game does make me genuinely curious how they could have created any future games in the Death Jr. series, because it's clear they went all out with this one. This is not only a massive step up from the original Death Jr., but from Death Jr. 2, the game this is directly based on. So I kind of wonder where they could have gone from here, because it seems like they were pushing these ideas to their limits, or at least the limits they could currently think of. Which is pretty much the same thing, right? If you can't think of anything else to do with your mechanics, then you've hit your limit, even if you haven't hit the limits of the game mechanics. And I'm pretty happy with how much Root of Evil explores its design, even if there are some very clear design oversights in the ranged weapons department.
Valued customers, we will keep the mall open during late hours for your convenience and profit.
That large security guard enemy we just destroyed functions very similar to the regular security guard enemies. He's just heavier, slower, and has more health. He's actually easier than the normal security guards because they tend to appear in much bigger numbers. So, this enemy confounded me for a while, but the idea is not to attack the head of the plant, but what's beneath it. And I just simply couldn't comprehend that, because the head of the plant is what flashes when you're doing damage. So you might not think a shopping mall would be a great place for a variety of creative enemy types, but you would be wrong about that. Right after we break open this lock, we'll be confronted with yet another new enemy type. These are the mannequin enemies, and the melee mannequin enemies to be specific. We're going to be using our shotgun against them, because it hits multiple of them at once, and it stunlocks them rather easily. They never stand a chance. And after we grab some more ammo, we're going to head into a room which again demonstrates Death Jr.'s arena shooter roots. Sometimes you get the feeling that they went back to making an arena shooter, but the game quickly maintains its normal balance. As soon as we pop in here, a bunch of projectile mannequin enemies will appear, and they throw grenades similar to the rabbit enemies from way back in the Toy Cemetery. There are a lot of them though, and they seem to be far more accurate than the rabbit enemies in the Toy Cemetery. In addition to increased accuracy, they seem to throw their grenades in a spread, which only contributes to their deadliness. We're going to stay in this fountain until the melee mannequin enemies appear in the second wave, and then we'll hop out and use our shotgun. Oh, here they are. This is actually a really good way to demonstrate the shotgun spread. Look at that, that spread is ridiculous. If you're wondering what kind of moves the melee mannequin enemies have, the answer is nothing special. They just walk up to you and attack like most other melee enemies. The difference is that they're far more durable and faster. If you've saved up your shotgun ammo specifically to deal with them, then they're absolutely no problem at all. The projectile mannequins are far more of a nuisance, which is something we will be demonstrating very shortly, unfortunately. But before we get to that, we have some environmental destruction to do. This is actually one of the few times, if not the only time, where you have to destroy something in the environment to proceed. We need to destroy the junk holding up these, whatever you want to call these platforms, and then use the platforms to get to our destination. How did the junk get under those stone platforms? I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I guess it's kind of a cute puzzle, if you want to call it a puzzle. As soon as we jump on the platforms, they spawn a bunch of projectile mannequins which can easily knock us off the platforms, which is a little bit frustrating. I wish they would have waited until we were all the way up here to spawn the projectile mannequins. I've been knocked down by these suckers quite a few times. And it's true, when you get knocked down, there's no real penalty. You can just jump back up on the platforms again, but it's still a little bit frustrating. For example, I'm pretty sure one of them knocks me clean out of the air. See, there was no possible way I could have predicted that would have hit me. But we've already established earlier that Death Jr. discourages you from skipping enemies wherever possible, and this fits with the rest of the design, so I shouldn't be complaining, really. Anyway, we're nearly at the half point of the level, believe it or not. I know it's been flying by, but we're almost there. You can actually see Smith and Weston across these next couple of platforms if you look.
By taking a concentrated sample of Seep's tank fluids, we've devised this organic compound.
Aw, you've gotta be kidding me.
Our tests confirm the contents of Seep's tank are lethal beyond anything we've ever seen. There's a catch, though.
Beyond us having to carry Seeps?
To defeat Fury, you're going to have to use the Seep juice directly on her.
Seep juice?
Patent pending.
He who controls the Seep controls the universe!
Okay, so now we have our mission. We're going to carry around this vial of Seep juice and hurl it at Fury whenever we eventually find her, which shouldn't be much longer now. She's already taken over the shopping mall. How many more places could she possibly run to? Though it's not like she's running from us, she's just stampeding, destroying people. Maybe she'll move on to another town.
Are you sure this plan is going to stop Fury?
From our calculation, you have a 82.3% chance of success.
That's like, yeah, we're gonna die.
Actually, DJ, those are reasonably good odds, and you should feel pretty good about that. I think the odds are still a little bit too lenient in Fury's favor, though, if we're being perfectly honest, because the boss battles are terrible. So the goal of this room is to extinguish that wall of fire we just walked past. And we do this by platforming across this big chasm in the center of the room and activating the sprinkler system. It's a bit of a curiosity why the sprinkler system wasn't already activated, considering this is the exact situation the sprinkler system was made for. I also love that this used to be a separate room. This used to be a different floor, but now it's all torn up, and all that's left are these platforms. It's actually really cute. I really like that. Let's pull this fire alarm. After we activate the sprinkler system, some more enemies will spawn across the chasm. There we go. I prefer to deal with them at a distance because they are the security guard enemies, and we already know that we should be dealing with those from a distance anyway. I'm not sure why I did that. It would have been far easier just to jump over to this set of platforms straight away instead of messing with the moving platforms. Live and learn or something. It's not as though I'm going to be playing this game again anytime soon, so it's not really a live and learn situation. You might remember this padlock. This padlock is actually an important mechanic. It's really hard to hit with our scythe. That's the most important thing to remember about it. After we come into this room, a bunch of melee mannequins will spawn, but if we stand in this fountain, they will be incapable of attacking us. Meanwhile, the fountain gives us the perfect viewpoint to blast all these padlocks off the door, making this the easiest room to skip enemy encounters. Granted, the banner's in the way a little bit, but we can work our way around that.
Downtown has been overrun by what looks like can only be described as, well, it is some kind of thing. More details later.
So yes, as I was saying, the padlocks are very difficult to hit with our scythe. The smart thing to do in this room would be to eliminate all of the security guard enemies on the bottom floor and then worry about platforming on the top floor. Because it's very easy to fall in this room, and if you do fall, you'll end up having to deal with the security enemies anyway. It would have saved everyone a lot of trouble if I had learned this lesson and simply attacked and destroyed all the security enemies immediately. But instead I was stubborn and attempted to skip them.
Our guest today is Professor Fleming, Chief of Arbology.
Thank you. This is not unlike the Chia manifestation of 74.
That was a pretty cute joke. Anyway, my hubris doesn't actually get me in any serious trouble, because there's a lot of health and ammo crates around. It just would have saved everyone a lot of time if I fought the security guards to start with. You'll notice that the mall is getting more and more torn up the further we get into it. Like, there's an entire wall missing over there, and the wall is also in flames. That was my fault entirely. I did not press the jump button early enough. I really like this level. It may visually be my favorite level in the game. I'm not sure about that. It may not be that way for other people. I have this weird affinity for seeing normal locations getting all torn up. Because there's a lot of creative possibilities in having a normal situation at a normal mall turn horribly wrong depending on what exactly attacked the mall. And as a result, you get a lot of platforming that that doesn't necessarily make sense with physics, but makes more sense in universe than just a bunch of floating block platforms like in, say, Mario. Prior to Mario Odyssey, did Mario live in some kind of weird hellscape, by the way? Where there are just floating blocks and strange, surrealistic platforming mazes everywhere? Like, if you look at Super Mario Galaxy 2, you'll know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. You may notice there were phone booths and benches on the bottoms of these platforms we're jumping on, and that's actually going to be important in a moment. This time I'm going to learn my lesson and jump properly. There we go. Eat Stunlock. We finally have our final melee move, the grounded Goofy Foot, but we're not going to be using it for a little bit. First, we need to grab some, Biocide. Yeah, the game's writing isn't quite done retconning things yet. Now the Biocide is also available at the mall for untold reasons. With these rotating platforms, we actually have to pay mind to the phone booths and benches that I pointed out earlier. You know, the Biocide being available in this level, it just makes me more angry at the World of Waffles levels, and the writing in general. The fact that they reuse the Biocide as a keycard, it just reeks of disrespect for the player's time. Like, we specifically went to the government facility and, by extension, World of Waffles to get Biocide. But not only do they make it available in the mall, just kinda hanging around, but they make it available in one of the last stages as well, where it makes the least sense. None of the characters ever address this, and the side effects that come with using Biocide are never brought up again. It's just a keycard now. Look, we used a keycard to open a door.
Eating that explosive taco. You will remember us 30 minutes later. Just a burger, where your first heart attack just means we are doing our job.
Meaty.
Creamy, greased donuts. The first one is free.
This room is full of new shrub enemies, which are easily dispatched, as you saw, with 2 shots of our shotgun. They're stun-locked by the first shot, and shooting them while they're down gets rid of them. The main goal in the food court is to find all 15 glowing pods and destroy them. I would like to again point out that there was no reason for these glowing pods to be at the sawmill. I refuse to let that go. I was a little bit upset at first when I played this room, because the thought of running around the room looking for 15 separate glowing pods to destroy was kind of frustrating. But they're really easy to spot, and if you do miss one, just another run around will probably show you where it is. I believe this is also the largest number of green pods we'll have to destroy, and the only room where they're really trying to hide them so much.
Want a coffee? Because everyone wants their coffee to taste the same.
See, I did miss one, but after looking around for a moment, I quickly noticed a green glow, and as such, it was no problem. Right here, I tried to do something fancy and make my way up to the next room without using the platforms that were intended, but it doesn't work out. I just thought it might be worth a try anyway, but no, those vending machines are far too slippery for that. All of the advertisements and store signs and vending machines, they're actually fairly well done, by the way. They're very humorous to look at. But I didn't want to stop to look at all of them because, I mean, I can't really comment on them beyond what they already say. Their humor is very surface level, there's not a whole lot to interpret, they're just wacky, but they're wacky in a good way.
That's it. I'm dead. I'm grounded forever.
I don't think you're gonna have to worry about that, DJ.
Dad?
Oh, DJ, I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, Dad. We'll get you out of there. Grounded Goofy Foot! I will find a way to help you, Dad. I promise.
The grounded Goofy Foot makes all other melee moves completely obsolete and makes you functionally invincible in melee combat. Against enemies with projectiles, not so much, but against any enemy that only has melee moves, yes, you are invincible. Every other melee move you learned up until this point, completely useless. The shrub enemies, by the way, are a nice touch. I like that they transform from simple background scenery into an enemy. And up ahead is the final room.
That's a large root.
Look for some larger pods in the area. They appear to be extensions of the main root trunk. So take out the pods. Root will go with it. Analysis shows some type of subterranean cavern under this area. It's reasonable to assume Fury has descended into the caves.
Like a rabbit down a hole. Question is, why?
This room can actually be quite a hassle if you try and defeat all of the enemies, so I recommend not doing that and instead focusing all your effort on destroying the pods. First of all, I'm pretty sure the Pegasi enemies, they infinitely respawn until you destroy their spawning points. And there are also a ton of plants that are sniping at you. So it's better just to grab a whole bunch of ammo and take out the pods, because as soon as you do, you'll get the exit of the level.
Then down the rabbit hole we go.